Hey guys, let's talk about head movement and let's talk about it using this maze ball. Spanish for corn. Also people call it like a slip bag or slip ball, whatever. Anyway, so let's talk about a misnomer with slipping. A lot of people talk about slipping like it's something that is all about just turning. So it's something that you should just be doing this to slip punches, which is actually more like riding a punch, right? Rolling with a punch in a sense, but riding with it is a better term. You'll see folks that do a lot of these kind of cardio kickboxing sessions and stuff like that. Their automatic go-to for slips is they turn their shoulder. So it's like 1, 2, slip, slip, boom, boom, slip, slip. And you see in relation to this, 1, 2, slip, slip, boom, boom, slip, slip. I'm just in the same place. I'm just maybe changing where my head gets hit by the straight punch that I'm slipping. Now again, to be clear, to specify like riding a punch is the punch is hitting you and you let it go with you. Now, to take off the sting. Now, is riding a punch better than getting hit clean with a punch? Absolutely. All right, you don't need me to tell you that. But a couple things important to remember, let me just kind of go off on a tangent here about riding punches, is that, okay, who's a popular person you know nowadays that rides punches? Think about it. Who does this move that you see? You see this type of thing going on. Canelo, real famous for it, all right? So, think about this though, okay? So one thing is obviously, he's a great top-level fighter. So he knows when the best time to do that type of thing is. Now, let me tell you the danger if you make it a habit to do that, is that if you are habitually riding punches and if you're not really doing it sparingly, or if you don't have other things you can do, it can be a big problem. And you actually saw Canelo get caught by that against Triple G. Is if you have that shot coming at you and you try to turn that head and ride it and they aim it a little bit more here versus here, or it's a little bit more of a loopy shot, you literally just went from a shot that was going to hit you in a scoring area to a very dangerous area that it's going to hit you like this, going boom, like that, all right? Now, interesting note though, if you're boxing someone that is riding punches like that, right? They're kind of defaulting for this, be okay with hitting them in the back of the head. What do I mean by that? Boxing's a tough sport. It's a hard sport. And again, I'm not saying in a sparring situation where you're sparring with your other team members in your facility. I'm talking about, you're in an amateur fight or maybe you're sparring high level type situation. Aim for where you would aim anyway. And if they turn, throw it hard still. They turned, it's their bad. They don't need to be turning. And especially in a fight scenario, you can hurt them. And that can help you. And it's not your fault. You're not breaking the rules. They are, in a sense, by turning their head away from a punch. Specifically as drastic as some people do it. Now, one little note though on riding punches. I know I'm kind of talking about riding punches for a second. I'll get to the slipping in a second. Is think about it, when guys like Canelo and people like that, they ride the punch, okay? They also step off with it. So that's an important note as well. So they step off line a little bit as they ride the punch. So here that punch comes, they step off line a little bit with it. So that's another important note to think about. They just don't just stand there and just turn their head and get hit by the punch in the back of the head. But if it's a looping shot and they thought it was straight and they try to ride it, like I said, all the things I just said apply when they get hit in the back of the head, and it's a bad habit to have. And also too, beginners, all right, which if you're watching this, statistically, you're probably a beginner, meaning you don't have hundreds of fights, is that, think about it, you have to develop the ability to not turn your head away from punches. Because that's one of the things that newbies all do, right? If you're someone that has some experience and some ability, think about it. When you first start boxing and sparring, you have either one of two habits, all right? Unless you're a freak. You have one or two habits. And that is, like my habit was to look down. So a punch comes to me and I look down in anticipation to have it not hit my jaw and my nose, right? So you tend to look down at the ground when you get overwhelmed a little bit or shots come that you're worried about. Other people's habit, typically a taller person habit, is they look away. They kind of, shot's coming, and they'll pull back from it, or they'll look away from it like that. And so if you actually ride punches, especially way too early, and you make a habit of that, you're not untraining those reflexes, which are detrimental. You need to be able to keep yourself locked on target to see the shots coming, so therefore you can react appropriately. Now let's talk about the reacting appropriately, all right? Talk about slipping. Like I said, the turning the shoulders, it's not gonna get our head offline. So often, someone's in their stance and they got their slip to the lead side, they got that down. They got that part down, they turn the body a little bit. That, you turn the body, because if you're in a good boxing stance, you're a little bit, head's a little bit on the right side or the rear side, just a little bit. So therefore, when you turn the body, your head comes offline like that, all right? And what's cool about this is that, think about it, if I shoot a right hand, I'm here, boom, my head comes offline, just from literally throwing the punch. So therefore, as I throw punches, my head slightly comes offline. Oh my gosh, look at that. And I'm slipping past, and my head is hard to hit. Move your head as you throw. It's not just about moving your head in between throwing your punches, it's about moving your head while you're throwing your punches too. Think about that, how you can throw punches, be here on the center line, I'm in my stance, and I can be bam, 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 there on that side. I can be here, boom, 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 have my head on this side, all right? Now let's talk about some nuances with slipping that you need to watch out for and be aware of. Things to watch for, so the rotating thing like I said, but also, this is what a lot of folks do when they want to slip, is they will move the head off line or move the body off line well, but they'll let their head kind of stay level, all right? You actually don't want to do that, because also, think about it, when someone's shooting punches at you, the best punches and easiest punches to slip is when they're shooting for your forehead or anywhere up in this area. The lower they go with their punches, the harder it is to slip because there's more mass, they'll hit your shoulders. So for instance, if someone's aiming right for my jaw with their punches and I slip, there's a chance they might hit my shoulders. The higher they're aiming, the easier it is for me to utilize any type of head movement whatsoever, all right? So they're aiming maybe kind of nose level or forehead level. I'm here. Think about it. I can literally just bow my head a little bit off to the side and get off that line. So I'm here, and I let the head just go, whoop, just like that. That gets me off just enough. See, the head is going off to the side. One way that I describe it to boxers and fighters that I train is that almost like you're slamming your head into something. So you can get next to the bag. I was literally doing this yesterday with somebody, where you have like a bag right here, and they get the habit of literally hitting that bag, you know, not crazy hard, with the side of their head to get that idea of that head going offline. And think about like Tyson with that classic TikTok type pattern. He's not going here, here, here. He's boom, boom, boom. That head is actually slamming over to get offline. It's more of an oblique even than just a twist, which of course he accomplishes for more of a squared up stance versus side up stance, which is obviously less of a classic boxing stance. But neither here nor there. One little slight caveat, or note rather, on that, the downside of if you move your head offline and try to keep it straight up and down, is that look, naturally your head opens up more here versus if you're like this, then they're hitting higher on your head, some punches slide down versus giving them some clean to hit. A punch that is slightly down would slide past versus here. All right, now with the slipping of the punches, if I'm sided up in my boxing stance, if I want to slip to my rear side, I'm here and I just bow to that rear side. I keep this hand on the side. Now, does that mean you don't ever go here? No, it doesn't mean that, but it means that typically if you slip to your rear side, so let's say a jab's coming or whatever, you're here, you slip to your rear side like that, you want to keep this hand right here. So you can shoot the right hand off of it, maybe uppercut or whatever, but also if your opponent sees you slipping onto that side and they maybe feint you, slip to that side and they shoot a hook or a 45 style left hand shot, I don't want you running your head into it. So this way I'm stopping any shot that was coming around and my head is off the line from any straight shot that came. All right, even a straight right hand if the right hand was straight. All right, so very important note on that. Now again, if I'm slipping here, I just have to bow the head a little bit offline, bow the head a little bit offline. I keep my hands with me. Another thing to watch out for is people like to do this number, which again, it's not automatic death, right? That doesn't mean that, but it's just a bad habit to have. That is something that I recommend you get over and get away from, because remember, any little habit and thing that you can't control that isn't 100% optimal will eventually come back, and sometimes at the time you wish it wouldn't come back, or times where you're like, oh no. So your habit of maybe kind of doing this number as you slip over here, yeah, it might work 95 times out of 100, but if someone comes back with a quick right hand and you don't get used to just having this hand about here, not crazy high, just about here, so therefore you could pop up, or being able to even, boom, shoot your jab, right? That classic technique of just being able to throw off with your punches like that, all right? If you're always ha with it, then the guy knows that he's slipping over there. He's not doing anything with his lead hand. So it takes away part of your arsenal. All right, so those are just some things to think about with slipping and using this good tool, the maze ball. It's definitely a great tool. If anything, it's just a great tool as a measuring thing like I just did here, where I'm here and I'm able to shoot my punches and I'm able to see with this video here or like the mirror or anything else, your head coming offline. Obviously, you can also use it laterally as well, where you're weaving under punches, things of that nature, and you're mixing in your shadow boxing, which is, of course, so great. All right, guys, keep training, do your thing, get after it. See you.